Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia Armendariz and this is Living Colorado Springs. Today's topic I'm going to try and do in a very delicate manner. I do feel it needs to be addressed since I get asked about it a lot, and that is whether or not Colorado Springs is safe. So legally, realtors are not allowed to talk crime and crime statistics. It's considered steering and breaks a whole bunch of fair housing laws. So with that being said, this is going to be more of my personal opinion and then also just personal experiences that I've had while living here in Colorado Springs and just overall living in Colorado. So if you have any questions over anything that I mentioned, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you as I am a licensed broker here in the state of Colorado. And also if you could hit that subscribe button and bell to get notified when I make new videos each week on everything that is Colorado Springs. But for now, let's get into whether or not Colorado Springs is safe. So again, I just want to mention that this video is going to be more of my perspective of what I've experienced while living here in Colorado. I've lived up and down the Front Range many times. Realtors don't really talk about it. We're able to provide you guys resources and websites for you to investigate and check out yourself and then figure out if the data and the numbers are considered safe in your opinion. Just a little background on me is I was born and raised in Pueblo, Colorado. I then came to Colorado Springs right after college and I was here for about 10 years. Within that 10 years, I did move to Las Vegas and I also lived in Puerto Rico for a while. When I came back, I lived in Denver, Colorado for a few years and then eventually made my way south back to Colorado Springs because just in my opinion, it's the best city to be in here on the Front Range. So with that being said, I've just always been a very aware person, like aware of my surroundings when I go out, when I'm at a bar, restaurant, when I'm just walking my dogs. I've just always been very aware of my surroundings and kind of just slightly had a guard up. And so I feel that may have helped my situation to not really be a victim of crime. But I will say Colorado Springs, in my opinion, doesn't really have like a set neighborhood or a set bad area where there's just a lot of crime. The biggest thing about Colorado in general, I feel like, especially here on the Front Range, is that I-25 runs from Mexico all the way up to Canada. And so as long as I've ever known, even as a kid, we've always just had a lot of like moving crime. It's been a lot of drug trafficking. You'll hear in the news about articles of, there was a drug bust in just south of Pueblo or through parts of Denver or even just before it hit the border of like Canada or Montana, whatever. So I would say more so we don't really have bad areas in my opinion. There's always bad apples in a bunch, so you're just gonna find bad people everywhere you go. But overall, there's not, in my mind, one area of Colorado Springs that just really pops out as like being a bad, dangerous neighborhood. Here's a lot of crime in this neighborhood. I do think it is more of a moving crime, like I said, with the interstate just going from one country to the other. And that's probably going to be the biggest thing that you find on the news or just in general is there was like a drug bust somewhere. And that usually happens actually between the New Mexico border and Pueblo. So me being from Pueblo, Colorado, initially, it does get made fun of a lot as being like the armpit of Colorado. It is a town that you have to be very aware of your surroundings in, of what you say, what you do. I'll just kind of leave it at that. So like I said, that kind of helped mold me into being a very aware person. But here in Colorado Springs, we just do have less people than Denver and those Denver suburbs. So I think our crime rates are going to be a little bit lower or less because we just have 500,000 less people in general. Also, we're pretty spread out. The suburbs don't really get hit with a lot of crime, and from what I hear, the crime that I've experienced and been a victim to, I guess, if you will, is the same that like my girlfriends and other friends and coworkers have had. It's more so just car break-ins. I've recently, in the last probably 3 years, probably since the pandemic, since the world started getting stressed out and, inflation is up, I've had more car break-ins. And I've always been a person to lock my doors, keep my windows up, not keep anything in my car that is visible, that would give someone a reason to break into my car. But that is probably what I've experienced the most in the last 3 years. I have had my car broken into 3 times in the last 3 years. And I actually have cameras outside of my home, and the cameras picked up that they were like punk kids. They weren't adult criminals. They were teenagers, and you know, kids are kids. I don't give them an excuse to break into my car, but this was not a planned out crime in my opinion. This was just some high school kids being bored and getting into some mischief. I will say my car was even broken into when I lived in the Broadmoor area, which is a more upscale, desired neighborhood here, and still had my car broken into. I will say you can find, if you don't lock your cars, at the grocery store, the mall, whatever, car breaking is probably going to be the most known crime that you'll experience if you are a very aware person of your surroundings. We also do not have the homeless problem that Denver has gotten over the last couple years, especially since the pandemic. Obviously, there is always going to be homeless, sad to say, wherever you go, but the Colorado Springs homeless population is rather small in my opinion, and they do have kind of a shelter downtown, and then they also have another one that is on the lower end of downtown, which is actually being changed and redone and kind of tore up. And honestly, the two homeless shelters are kind of near some big smokestacks that sit downtown, and these big smokestacks actually are in the works of being torn down and a whole big park and subdivision being created over the next 20 years. That's in the works for the city. But overall right now, you don't really see a lot of homeless out and about. They stay pretty close to those two shelters. The shelters are already by the smokestacks that no one goes to. I don't even really think that plant is in a huge operation right now. There's no reason for you to really be over there. And if it is, it's because you're an investor who's buying up some of those older homes and anticipating the big turn of the market down the road. I also want to mention that I've never had an issue with the homeless, even though there is a small amount in my opinion. I used to bartend at the downtown nightclubs for many years in my 20s. I never had an issue with them. I'd come in early, I'd leave late at night. I would see them occasionally around, but they keep to themselves. Like I said, they more so just keep to the shelters that are nowhere near anything. So I don't know, for my most part, I've always had an okay encounter with the homeless. Even as a bartender, they would come walk by the bars midday and just, you know, see me setting up shop or getting like the restaurant ready. Occasionally they'd come in and just want to talk my ear off and ask for a glass of water, which I had no problem getting, but you know, they never had an issue with being asked to leave the premises or anything of that. I had never heard of any of the bartenders I'm working with being mugged or, you know, harassed by the homeless. So now there definitely are some lower income neighborhoods in Colorado Springs, but I wouldn't so much say that they are dangerous, not as a whole. Like, you probably will find more crime statistics that point to certain neighborhoods that just have more of petty crimes, but overall we just don't have mass murders. We don't have huge gangs that run streets. Yes, there are a few known gangs in town, but they're not in the public often. You don't hear them causing ruckus. If they do, it's very contained by the police. I honestly wish this video was a little bit more informative and helpful, but like I said, I am just legally not really allowed to speak on much crime and crime statistics as a realtor, but I will drop those links of websites that you can visit to determine for yourself whether Colorado Springs is safe for you or not by the numbers. But that is just kind of my opinion and experience of what I've ran into crime-wise while living here in just Colorado in general. I am very blessed to say that it is not much, and that is another reason why I do continue to live in Colorado Springs, why I have lived here, moved away, and came back. It's just because, in my opinion, it's one of the better cities here on the Front Range, and I feel safe living here. So that is my opinion of whether or not Colorado Springs is safe. I hope you guys enjoy the info. And if you have any questions over anything that I mentioned, I will try and answer the best I can without breaking any rules or laws. But if you do have any other questions about the home buying or selling process, feel free to reach out also. And if you could, hit that subscribe button and bell to get notified when I make new videos each week on everything that is Colorado Springs. Until next time, I hope you guys have a good one.